Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into Aevo. It's a project making some pretty big waves in the crypto world.
Hmm.
It's really trying to redefine how we trade, complex things like options and futures. But here's the kicker, all in a decentralized way.
Exactly. And our mission today really is to give you a shortcut to being properly well-informed about Aevo.
Right.
We're going to look at its core idea, how it aims to bring that speed and efficiency you see in traditional exchanges into DeFi,
Yeah.
what new stuff it brings to the table product-wise, and importantly, the potential hurdles it faces. So by the end, you'll get not just what it does, but why it actually matters for, well, the future of finance.
So for someone maybe newer to this, what was the big nagging problem that Aevo decided to fix? I'm guessing it relates back to the early days of DeFi, right?
You've absolutely hit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, think back to those first DeFi derivatives platforms. Groundbreaking, sure, but they had some serious drawbacks.
Right.
Well, one of the biggest was just sluggish performance. A lot of early DEXs ran straight on layer ones like Ethereum, which often got really congested.
Oh, okay. So long waits.
Yeah, frustratingly long transaction times, sometimes minutes. And price slippage, too, where the price kind of shifts between when you click and when it executes. Huge pain for active traders.
It's slow and unpredictable. Sounds like it could get expensive, too, especially if you're trading a lot.
It definitely did, and that's the next point. Prohibitive costs. I mean, every single thing you did, placing an order, canceling one, it often came with hefty gas fees. Now imagine you're trying to do high-frequency trading or market making, hundreds, maybe thousands of orders a day.
Wow.
The costs just made those strategies pretty much impossible for many. It was just too expensive to operate efficiently.
And I bet the user experience wasn't exactly smooth either, especially for pros used to, traditional platforms.
Spot on. The clunky user experience was another massive hurdle. Constant wallet pop-ups for everything.
Oh, yeah, I know those.
Right. And complex interfaces that weren't, let's say, intuitive. It created this high barrier to entry. So professionals, institutional folks, they're used to seamless, instant stuff on centralized exchanges, right? They often found early DeFi almost unusable for their needs. So despite the promise of decentralization, they often had to stick with centralized platforms for the speed and liquidity they needed.
It sounds like there was this massive gap then between what serious traders needed and what DeFi could actually offer at the time. A real unmet need.
Precisely. The market was practically screaming for something that had that institutional-grade feel and performance, but crucially, without the counterparty risk you get with a centralized company holding your funds. That's the gap Aevo aimed to fill.
Okay, so they saw the problem clearly. What's their big idea then? Their main goal, maybe in simple terms. Could you give us an analogy, perhaps?
Absolutely. Aevo's main goal is essentially to build a kind of DeFi super app, starting with derivatives, that combines the speed and feel of a centralized exchange with the security and self-custody benefits of DeFi.
Okay, speed and control.
Yeah. For an analogy, imagine you love cooking at home. You control all the ingredients. You know exactly what's in your food. That's like the decentralized part, your self-custody.
Right.
But sometimes you just want the speed and convenience of a professional kitchen where everything's prepped and cooked super fast. Aevo is kind of like a gourmet drive-through that uses your ingredients prepared by a top chef. So you get the speed and quality, but you never actually hand over control of your food.
I like that. A gourmet drive-through with your own ingredients.
Exactly. It's a hybrid approach. It uses something called an off-chain central limit order book, a CLO, for really fast matching, but then settles everything securely on-chain using its own custom Ethereum layer 2.
Got it. So best of both worlds, fast trading, but you keep your funds safe.
That's the core value proposition they're aiming for, yes.
That's clear conceptually, but how does this gourmet drive-through actually work under the hood? Can you break down the steps?
Sure, let's get into the mechanics. So first, Aevo runs on its own specialized layer 2 blockchain or rollup. Now, think of a rollup like a dedicated express lane running alongside the main Ethereum highway.
Okay, an express lane.
Right. It processes transactions off the main chain, bundles them up efficiently, and then sends a kind of compressed receipt back to Ethereum for the final security check. Aevo uses the OP stack, which is a pretty popular framework for building these layer 2s.
So it's not just any express lane.
No, it's like a custom-built high-speed lane designed specifically for derivatives trading. That makes it super efficient.
Okay, a private fast lane on Ethereum. What happens when I actually place an order there?
Great question. When you place a buy or sell order on Evo, it gets matched almost instantly, but off-chain.
Off-chain.
Yes, on high-performance servers. This is really key because it works just like a centralized exchange processes orders behind the scenes.
Ah, I see.
And that's why you don't pay gas fees for placing orders, changing them, or canceling them. It's designed to be super quick and, well, frictionless.
Okay, so the matching is fast and free. But then where does the decentralization and security come in? How do I know my assets are really mine?
Right. That's where the on-chain settlement part happens.
Oh.
Once your orders are matched off-chain, the actual transaction, the fund transfer, updating your position that gets securely processed on-chain.
On their layer 2.
Exactly, via smart contracts on Aevo's Layer 2 blockchain. And this Layer 2 inherits the security and transparency of Ethereum. So your assets remain under your control. The system basically bundles up these matched off-chain trades and periodically anchors them to Ethereum for that final immutable record.
That is pretty clever. It really sounds like they're getting the efficiency for the trading part and the robust security for the settlement. What about all the data involved? Doesn't that cost something?
Good point. To keep costs down even more and maintain that efficiency, Aevo uses something called Eigenda for what's known as data availability. Yeah. Basically, rollups need a secure place to store all the transaction data they process. Posting all that data directly to the main Ethereum network can get really expensive. Eigendate provides a cheaper, more efficient way to store that data, but it still ties back to Ethereum for security.
Okay, so it's like efficient data storage.
Exactly. And this whole hybrid setup lets Aevo hit some impressive numbers. They claim over 5,000 transactions per second with latency under 10 milliseconds. Those are speeds genuinely comparable to top centralized exchanges.
Wow. Okay, so the trading feels instant and gas-free, but the security is handled by the blockchain underneath. That's a powerful mix.
It really is. It shows some sophisticated engineering went into tackling those early DeFi bottlenecks while trying to stick to decentralized principles.
The tech sounds great, but let's bring it back to the user. What does all this mean for me, practically? How does Aevo change my trading experience?
Right, this is where it gets really practical for you. One of the biggest benefits is, simply put, you can trade like a pro, but stay in control. You get the speed, the low cost, the advanced tools you typically find on a CEX, but crucially, you hold your own assets. There's no third party you need to trust with your funds. That removes a huge layer of risk, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially given some history with centralized exchanges. What else stands out?
Another really cool feature is their unified margin account. This is super useful for active traders.
How so?
Well, instead of needing separate piles of collateral for different trades, like options here, futures there, Eevo lets you use a single pool of capital to back all your positions across different products.
Interesting.
Yeah, options, perpetual futures, even those pre-launch tokens we'll talk about. It makes your capital way more efficient and just simplifies managing your risk overall. Your money works harder for you.
That sounds incredibly helpful for managing a portfolio. And you mentioned trading tokens before they launched. That sounds wild. How does that work?
Yeah, that's one of their really innovative offerings, pre-launch futures. It lets you speculate on or trade the price of tokens before they officially hit the big exchanges.
So, like, if I think a token's going to dump after an airdrop.
Exactly. Or if you expect it to pump, say you're getting a big airdrop, you could use these pre-launch futures to effectively lock in a price ahead of time, hedging against volatility when it actually goes live. It brings price discovery and risk management to that really uncertain pre-launch phase.
Wow, pre-launch futures. That really could change how people approach new token listings. Are there options for passive income, too?
Absolutely. They inherited some things from their predecessor, Ribbon Finance. So Aevo offers automated passive income strategies. They call them Aevo strategies.
Like what?
Well, a good example is the Evo Basis Trade Vault. You can deposit stablecoins, and it runs a sophisticated arbitrage strategy for you, like buying the token on the spot market while simultaneously selling perpetual futures for it.
Okay, that sounds complex.
It is, but it's automated. It's a kind of delta-neutral strategy that big players often use, but now it's accessible to regular users looking for yield.
So not just for the super active traders then, it's also about making these advanced strategies more accessible. Anything else on the cutting edge?
Well, for those with a, let's say, very high-risk appetite, they also launched Aevo Degen back in July 2025.
Aevo Degen. Sounds intense.
It is. It offers up to 1,000x leverage on tokenized stocks. Now, obviously, that's extremely high risk and not for most people, but its existence kind of shows Aevo's strategy. They're willing to push boundaries and offer diverse even edgy trading products to capture different market segments. It signals they're trying to innovate constantly.
Okay, the pre-launch futures and that unified account definitely stand out. It feels like they're giving everyday traders tools that used to be just for the big institutions. That's quite a shift.
That really seems to be a core part of their mission, yeah, bringing that institutional-grade experience to a wider decentralized audience.
This all sounds really powerful. But, as we always say, nothing's perfect. What are the potential risks or maybe criticisms that Aevo faces?
That's crucial to cover, definitely. So that high performance we talked about, it comes with a trade-off, primarily centralization in the sequencer.
The sequencer. That's the part that orders transactions.
Exactly. It processes and batches the transactions before they go to Ethereum. Right now, it's run by a single entity, a company called Conduit.
Ah, so a single point of failure?
Potentially, yes. And also a theoretical risk of censorship, where they could technically choose not to process certain transactions. Now, users can force transactions through to Layer 1 if needed, but it's still a centralized element in the system.
So a trade-off between speed and pure decentralization. Any other sort of architectural worries?
Yes, another pretty critical one highlighted by L2B, which tracks Layer 2s. They pointed out a potential vulnerability, the lack of a time delay for updating the smart contracts.
What does that mean, practically?
It means if someone wanted to deploy malicious code, say, in an update, they could potentially do it instantly. There's no built-in waiting period for users to see the change, react, or maybe withdraw funds if something looks wrong. That's a serious security concern.
Oof, yeah, that sounds risky.
Huh.
Okay, moving beyond the tech, what about the market itself? You mentioned competitors earlier.
Right. The decentralized derivatives market is incredibly competitive, fiercely so. Aevo is up against some real heavyweights. You've got DEX, a leader in perpetuals, which is even moving to its own blockchain on Cosmos. And then there's Hyperliquid. They currently dominate the perpetuals market. We're talking something like 73-75% market share and an enormous $15 billion in open interest.
Wow, $15 billion. How does Aevo compare?
Aevo's aggregated open interest is around $9.8 million. So you can see it's a really significant uphill battle for liquidity and market share.
Definitely a tough space to gain ground in. What about the regulators? Crypto derivatives always seem to be in the spotlight.
That leads us straight to regulatory uncertainty. This whole sector faces intense scrutiny globally. Aevo is very clear on their site. No regulatory authority has formally approved their operations.
And they restrict users.
Yes, to reduce risk, they block users from certain places, including the USA, Canada, and China. This legal gray area is a long-term threat hanging over not just Aevo, but everyone in this market.
Right, that makes sense. We've talked about tokenomics before. Any specific risks tied to the Aevo token itself?
Yeah, looking back, there was a key event. On January 1st, 2025, 100% of the Aevo tokens unlocked. That included tokens held by the team and early investors.
The big unlock.
Exactly. Now, that date has passed, and the market seems to have absorbed that supply, but at the time, it was a major point of concern regarding potential selling pressure. Also, the current token model is somewhat inflationary because they reward staking Aevo tokens, which increases the supply over time. And there aren't really explicit deflationary things like token burning built in to counteract that inflation right now. That could put downward pressure on the price long term.
Okay, so pulling it all together, it sounds like Aevo's doing some really innovative things, but it's definitely navigating a complex path. There's this balance between speed and decentralization, plus huge external pressures from competition and regulators.
That sums it up well. It really highlights the evolution and the inherent challenges still present in DeFi today. So, in a nutshell, Aevo is a technically sophisticated, decentralized exchange. It's built on a custom Ethereum Layer 2, designed for high-speed trading of various crypto derivatives, including those unique pre-launch features we talked about. It tries to blend that centralized exchange performance with the security of blockchain settlements.
Right. So, pushing the limits of DeFi, trying to give you a CEX-like feel, but crucially, while you still hold the keys to your own crypto. What a really fascinating deep dive into Aevo. It's so clear that projects like this are just constantly innovating, trying to redefine what's even possible in decentralized finance.
It really is, and it brings up an interesting point for everyone listening. As these lines between centralized and decentralized finance keep blurring, how do you personally weigh those trade-offs? You know, the trade-off between pure decentralization versus the demand for performance and ease of use in your own crypto activities. It's a balance everyone has to think about.
You know, that's actually a great point to quickly pause and remind our listeners of something.
That's right. If you're enjoying how we break down these complex projects into hopefully simple pieces and you want more reviews just like this one, make sure you subscribe to our channel, CryptoBox. We do all the deep research so you don't have to.